to our virtual open house for Mississauga Fire Emergency Services, the Firefighter Recruitment Information Session. And this is starting right at 7 o'clock, and be cognizant of everyone's time, right? So we'll get started. So before we begin officially, we'll do our land acknowledgement for the city of Mississauga. We acknowledge the lands which constitute the present-day city of Mississauga, being part of the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the Wyandot nations. We recognize these peoples and their ancestors as peoples who inhabited these lands since time immemorial. The city of Mississauga is home to many global indigenous peoples. As a municipality, the city of Mississauga is actively working towards reconciliation by confronting our past and our present, providing space for indigenous peoples within their territory to recognize and uphold their treaty rights and to support indigenous peoples. We formally recognize the Anishinaabe origins of our name and continue to make Mississauga a safe space for all Indigenous peoples. Right. So this evening we're going to have a little bit of an agenda we're going to go through. So we'll have some opening remarks and introductions and some announcements. The Mississauga Fire and Emergency Services will have a little bit of a testimonial video to let you know why Mississauga Fire Emergency Services should be the place that you want to apply to and work for. This evening with us, we have our Deputy Chief Stefan Mallow of our operations, who will provide some words as well. Equally, we have our Human Resources Recruitment Specialist, Angela, with us, and she'll walk you through the application process, the success factors, and the recruitment process itself. And then at the end, we have our Q&A. There should be a box at the bottom for you to type in your questions. So we'll get to those questions as we can. All right. And then throughout the whole evening. All right. So right now, I'll switch over and present to you our testimonial video. So.
My name is Enrique Rano. I am a firefighter. I'm here at Station 101 at headquarters, and I've been here for 3 years on D shift. The reason why I wanted to join the fire service is ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to help out, you know, and I'd see the sirens, police, ambulance, and fire, and I just knew I wanted to take one of those roles. So growing up, I went into school for a paramedic. I got my license, and I worked as a paramedic for a couple years. But the ultimate goal is always to become fire. Mississauga I was fortunate enough to be able to be welcomed as part of their team, and here I am. It's been 3 years, and it's been great. Having a medical background to me is pretty beneficial. A big part of the job is our medical response, and there's actually quite a few paramedics here working on the job, and it helps out tremendously. You know, just being able to have that understanding a little more than what's taught at the fire level, it makes me feel more confident. It's better for the patient. It also helps out members on my crew as well. Having a paramedic background has helped me tremendously here on the job, not only on the trucks and providing patient care, but here in Mississauga, I've been able to utilize my skills and training to become a shift training instructor. And what that allows me to do is to provide training to the recruits, on-shift crews. Whenever there's new medical programs, I'm involved in that process, and it helps me keep in touch with my medical background and provide the skills and knowledge that I know to other crew members who are willing to learn. So that's one of the great things about Mississauga, is having those outlets. So if you do have a background in any different kind of field, there is different kinds of ways that you can utilize that here within the department.
My name is Simran Arora. I work as an equipment officer within the Capital Assets Division. I have been with Mississauga Fire and Emergency Services since 2019 now. I started my journey back in 2019 as a supply clerk with Mississauga Fire. When I saw this posting coming up, in my mind I used to think you have to be a firefighter to work for emergency services. But to my surprise, there are other divisions that are support divisions which do help the emergency services to run. I was lucky enough to have the supply chain background, come in, apply for the position and get the job. So being a member of one of the support divisions, I can speak about the support divisions. So except the operations, there are quite a few other divisions within Mississauga Fire where you can look for your opportunities. I work for the stores division, but along with it, we do have a mechanical division and a building maintenance group where you can find opportunities and lots of chances to grow within those roles too. That was where I got my opportunity to serve the community and pay back to this community.
My name is Brody Grant. I'm a firefighter for the City of Mississauga. I've been a firefighter for 12 years. What originally drove me to pursue a career in firefighting was I wanted something I could look back on at the end of the day, at the end of my career, and be proud of what I did. I didn't see myself in a desk job. I wanted something where I could be out and about, and what greater opportunity than to help somebody or to give assistance to someone in need. What led me to pursue Mississauga Fire and Emergency Services was the variety of calls that you can have in Mississauga. Mississauga provided such a wide variety in the calls that you could run on a daily basis. We have so many different highways, high rises, an airport, rivers, lakes, hazardous materials, and they all end up in the same area. So Mississauga Fire was a unique department. On any given day in Mississauga, you could run a structural fire, train derailment, an airplane crash, a water rescue, hazardous material spill, or even just a rollover on the highway. So from that standpoint, that's why I chose Mississauga Fire. One of the things that drove me towards firefighting or pursuing a career in firefighting was the opportunity. The opportunity to help someone is the greatest gift you can give someone. I think if you have the opportunity and the ability to help someone, you should take that chance. You should take that opportunity.
Brooke Stoddard, Station 105 D shift. I've been on the floor for 3.5 years now. Fire is something that doesn't care if you're short or tall, male or female. It just cares if you're a dedicated individual to help those that are in its way. It's the quality and characteristics of an individual that wants to come forward during certain situations that is most important on this job. The most rewarding part about the job is the teamwork and the camaraderie that goes along with it. You never know what different situation you're going to end up in, but you know that people that you're going there with always have your back. We're a big department. You know, there's lots of areas for movement and lots of different kind of programs that you can get into, may it be the water rescue, the squad, the tech rescue, ropes, high angles. There's a lot of different trucks that you can get onto and kind of teams that way.
My name is Sienna and I've been a firefighter with Mississauga for a year now. I'm at Station 108 on C shift. My journey in the fire service started when I was in high school. When I was a teenager, my family had suffered a house fire. The interactions that I had with firefighters and the members of the community made me realize that I wanted to devote my career to the fire service. Mississauga is a great place to work because of its diverse community and ever-growing infrastructure. With this, it's giving the opportunity for people like you and I to have a great, long, rewarding career.
Hi, my name's Avery Marin. I am a Mississauga firefighter, 4th class, very soon to be 3rd class. I wanted to get into firefighting because it combined quite a few of the things that I wanted to do in my career, being involved in the community, being able to help others, working with a crew in a team setting, and also had an aspect of physical fitness to it. So Mississauga was my first choice. I wanted to be a firefighter here specifically because it's such a diverse community. There's a variety of calls, a variety of trucks to be on, aerial, pump, squad, and lots of opportunity for growth.
Hi, my name is Andrew James. I'm a firefighter here with Mississauga Fire and Emergency Services. I've been on for 3 years now, and I'm currently stationed at 108 in the Streetsville area. My journey into fire, and specifically Mississauga Fire, is a bit of a unique one as I've transitioned over from being a police officer, which I've spent 7.5 years there. My journey into fire, I did my pre-service, where I went to Southwest Fire Academy, and I did part-time studies there, which was beneficial for me with my previous career in terms of scheduling. From there, I obtained my Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, as well as my hazmat awareness. And afterwards, got my DZ license to operate the fire trucks, as well as EMR, which is emergency medical responder for first aid. Also did a vast amount of volunteer work, out and about in the community. I'm a big sports guy, so a lot of my volunteer work was geared towards athletics and sports. Why I chose Mississauga, I'm currently a resident of Mississauga with my family here. I've been living here for the past 5 years. Mississauga is a very fast-growing and progressive city, very diverse and multicultural. Also, to speak to the service, it's a fast-growing service as well. We do quite a bit of hiring here, and also there is a lot of new stations that are opening up in the years to come. So that's great for opportunities that are in the future for hiring purposes. As well, I believe the clientele here that Mississauga hires is good. A lot of teamwork, which I'm big on. Great team environment. When you have a great crew, that's what makes the job beneficial, and it's one of my favorite parts of the job. I'm fortunate enough to work with a great crew and learn from them. A lot of seniority, a lot of experience, so I take what I learned from them as well as my experience as a first responder for 10 years now, including policing, to operate myself on the job and on the floor.
All right, everyone. So hopefully that gives you some insight to why Mississauga Fire Emergency Services should be the place for you to consider if you're looking to join the fire service. So I'll get back to this right now. So tonight's panelists, we have our Deputy Chief Stefan Mallow from our Operations Division, myself, Luigi Daly platoon chief with Mississauga Fire Emergency Services and responsible for recruitment. And we have our recruitment specialist from Human Resources to thing. So we'll pass it over to Deputy Chief Mallow.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I think we have, if my computer works properly, we have 66 attendees tonight. So good evening. My name is Steph Mallow. I'm the Deputy Chief of Operations and the hiring manager, for that matter, for operations. There are lots to talk about. We have about until 8 o'clock, right, Angela, tonight, to talk about a few things. We're going to go through some questions and answers.
7:30, Chief. 7:41. We'll open it for Q&A after that.
Okay, 7:40. So give or take, nonetheless, we have some time to spend with you about and talk about a number of things. Before we get to the Q&A, this is our sixth and final open house. This one is a virtual. We've had up to now, give or take, and including tonight, perhaps somewhere in the range of 600 people attending open houses altogether. We know that normally speaking, once we open a job posting and we go live on a job posting, typically we get about 1,200 or so and perhaps more applicants. So all this to say that this is a very competitive process. And so that, I'm in so September 3rd this year, I'll be 27 years in this job as an employee of the city of Mississauga in the fire service. When I applied for, much like perhaps some of you have done and are still going to do down the road, applying for many fire service organizations across a number of locations. It took me several years before I was finally able to land a job as a firefighter back in '96. And what I'm saying is that not only it's a very competitive process, but also takes time. And so if you think, for example, that you're going to apply for a job the first time and you're going to land a job as a firefighter the first time, perhaps you're mistaken. It may happen, it's possible, but it may not happen. And what you want to consider, and what I want to get my point across, is that you need to really be open-minded and be realistic about your expectations. Not only it's a competitive process in terms of sheer number. So for 2024, this is a current recruitment campaign. We're going to hire for the year 2024 for next year, which we hope to have recruits sitting in the classroom sometime somewhere in the end of February 2024. We have a new station opening in Mississauga, Station 125 in 2024, which right away requires about 20 people to hire. And then we have attrition through retirements and other things. So we're looking at perhaps somewhere, and without being firm on a particular number, we're looking at about 35 jobs or so. So 35 of you, perhaps, out of 1,200, perhaps 1,500 people will get a job offer sometime in January of 2024. So be realistic about your expectations. And I know full well firsthand that perhaps in many cases it's going to be frustrating because the process itself is demanding, it's lengthy, and it's also frustrating. We get that, but make no mistakes about it. If you don't go through the process and if you don't go through all the steps, and by the way, an engineer will walk you through what our current process looks like. If you don't get selected to move on to the next stage of the process, it means that at this point in time, between you and I, we're not going to move further. That's really what it means. And so does it mean that you're a bad person? Does it mean that you're not good enough? Does it mean all kinds of things? No. It means that in the grand scheme of things, when we compare you to 1,200 other people, somebody else has something more than you do, has done better somehow, some way. Okay. But at the end of the day, if you give up, you will never get this job. Much like the lottery. If you don't play, you won't win. Although the odds of winning the lottery are a lot more significant than landing a job as a firefighter in Mississauga, but nonetheless, the point that I want to make and then drive to you is that it will be frustrating, it will be disappointing, but don't give up. Keep going. You will be compared against 12 or 1,500 people that have work experience, life experience, education that perhaps is better than than yours today. And that's why those folks will get a job. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for good people because good people make good firefighters. I'm going to say this again. Good people make good firefighters. Case in point, I can probably spend a day, 2 days, 3 days, try to explain to you and demonstrate to you how to swing an axe to break open a door, not to hurt yourself or others in the process and get the job done. Some of you will be really good at it because some of you perhaps come from a background where you've used hand tools before, you've swung an axe before, and you can do this more or less naturally, if I can use that term. For others, it might take a while. It might take 3, 4, 5 days. It might take 2 weeks. It might take a month before you become comfortable and meet our standard as far as swinging an axe to achieve the desired goal. And some of you perhaps may never be great at swinging an axe compared to others, but perhaps you have other skills that are more or as equally desirable for us in comparison to the rest of our team. Because keep in mind that not every firefighter is good at everything. Firefighters is a synergy, a team of people that come to the workplace with all of them individually having skills, knowledge, and experience that combine form a fantastic team. But good people is not something that I can spend a lot of time trying to educate you on. You come to us being a good person, and we take you in and offer you a job as a good person and teach you and bring you up to our expectations as far as what the job of a firefighter is. That's what it boils down to. So when it comes to the process itself, through interviews and other parts of the process, you have to demonstrate to us that you are a good person and not winging it, not trying to blow smoke up our thing, telling us and showing us and demonstrating to us that you are a good person. If you're a good person, we can work with you. Now, make no mistake about it. What you've seen, and perhaps some of you have watched some or still watching some TV shows and movies. I know last night I caught some of the Chicago fire. I watched it for 5 minutes and I cringed and I turn it off and move on to something else. Television and public perception about what this job is so different than what the reality of the job is. I'm saying this because firsthand experience. 2 is what the public perception and perhaps your perception of the job, this job is so far remote from the reality. It's not even funny. This is a dirty, this is a nasty, this is a demanding blue collar, respectfully job. This is not a glamorous, cool, in reality, off the cuff, kind of amazing. It is an amazing career, but the job itself, when it boils down, when poop hits the fan, is a nasty, dirty job. Example: you're gonna walk into someone's house. You've never been there before at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. The house is on fire. You have no idea what's on there. The job for us is to search and look for people that are alive and give them a chance to be alive and to stay alive. You can't see in front of your hand in that house. You have no idea what's in there. And you're searching blinded, essentially, on your hands and knees for somebody who's perhaps still alive and perhaps has a chance to live. And if you are lucky, and if that person is lucky enough, you will find someone who still has a chance to live and survive. You're going to drag those people out, and you're going to either carry on with life-saving protocols or hand that person over to paramedics. But in most cases, make no mistake about it, you're looking for people who perhaps are burned to a crisp. And so try to imagine for a moment that you're crawling on your hands and knees at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't see anything. And what you find through your hands, because you can't see, is someone or a person who is burned beyond recognition. That is the reality of the work. And the point here is that it's not for everyone. This is not a job for everyone and anyone. You have to have resiliency that is off the record. You have to be able to cope with the reality of the job when it comes to you, and you don't know when it comes to you in that fashion. You don't know how you're going to handle it. You don't know how you're going to react, because we're all human beings. But resiliency, and you'll hear those words again, is just not a buzzword. It's the reality of the work. This job is not for everyone. This job is a nasty, dirty job from time to time. We're going to answer some questions as far as what we're looking for, as far as the process, what the process looks like. Perhaps we're not going to have all the answers tonight, but at some point in time through Q&A and through our website, you'll be able to see some of the most answered or asked questions, with some answers that are generic, I can say it that way. Again, we're looking for about 35 people sometime in early 2024. I hope that you're going to apply for Mississauga. But again, make no mistakes, we're looking for the best people out of perhaps 1,500 people to apply for this job. And so my last word is, you'll see many websites, many proposals for how to prepare for a firefighter, how to prepare for interviews, how to prepare for becoming the best candidates for becoming a firefighter somewhere in the province. And it applies here in Mississauga as elsewhere. And if we have parents here tonight, and if there's some younger folks out there looking for an education, before you spend money, make sure that the institution that you're going to be entering into a contractual agreement with, that is to say a college, an institution of some kind, make sure that those institutions are accredited by the province of Ontario. So many times, and Angela can speak to this, and others we've witnessed this firsthand. Some of the younger folks come to the table and say, I have a certificate from this institution. And we look at it and say, I'm sorry, but this is not accredited. It's only worth the paper it's written on. So many people have spent money and time in trying to get ahead by getting an education, only to find out that the institution that they had committed to and entered into a transactional agreement with was not recognized, was not an accredited institution. Make sure that you spend their money in the right places for the right reasons, and make sure that the paper you're going to get out of that institution is actually valuable. And Angela can walk you through what this looks like. I wish you all the best of luck. We're going to take questions after Angela speaks about the process itself as far as Mississauga recruitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Malo. Yes, thanks, Luigi. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Anjana, and I'm from the City of Mississauga Human Resources, and I'm the recruitment specialist and will be responsible for the recruitment for the firefighter recruitment drive for 2024. I want to turn your attention now to the job posting and the recruitment process. So we'll start with the information about the job posting. It will go live on the June 15th, and it's open for 3 weeks until July 10th. And typically, it's the time there, the deadline. We close at that deadline, so you will not get any time after to apply. So if you are intending to apply, that's your window. So make sure you're keeping note of the date and time when it's open and when you're ready to apply. So to prepare for the job application, I just like to give you some important information that every candidate who wants to apply, who's going to apply, make sure you have the documentation ready to support all the minimum qualifications that's required for the job. Once you go to the job posting, you will see the minimum requirements for the job, like Ontario Secondary School Diploma or BDZ license or your first aid certification, and definitely the NFPA certifications. We need the original documents to be in order, and you will have to submit that for validation at some point in the recruitment process. So we have candidates who do say apply for the job and then come back after, and then they either have lost their certificate or do not have the Pro Board seal or the IFSAC seal on their certificates, and such an application will be incomplete, or even if you apply, you will be disqualified during the recruitment process. So before you start your application, make sure you have all the documentation to support your minimum qualifications, and then you are ready to apply for the job. Whatever information that we're giving you tonight is all available already on our web pages. So if you go to the links to the hiring process as well as the FAQ document, most of the questions that you may have will be answered. Okay, next we're going over to
Angela, can I chime in? I apologize. I don't want to interrupt you.
Absolutely.
So this is critical. Okay, so pay attention here, folks. Job posting is going live June 15 and close it in July 10th. So on the job pre-screening application questionnaire, it says, for example, it asks, do you have an FPA 1001 level 1 and 2? If you have that paper in your hands, your answer is yes. If you don't have that paper in your hands, your answer is no. Okay? Don't try to mess around. If you think you're going to be successful in obtaining the document, the paper, the certificate in October, November, December, that's great. However, you need to have those documents valid and verifiable on closing at the time of posting. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Okay, don't waste your time.
Yes, thanks, Chief Malo. Yes, for sure. That's I'm going to repeat that information again when we get to the job application. So I want to next move on to the actual recruitment process, the job application phase. Yeah, so for every candidate, when you're ready to apply, like Chief Malo said, and I'm repeating, you need to have all the documentation ready to support the minimum qualifications. Once you have that, you may start with the job application process. Please keep in mind that there's a $75 application fee, so you want to make your money's worth. Make sure you are fully qualified to apply for the job. You can start your application. It's a simple two-step process. First, you look for the job posting and then click on the job posting. You will see the whole posting with the qualifications. At the end of the page, you will say apply, hit apply, and then it'll take you to this page which you see on your screen, which is our Success Factors homepage. You first need to create a profile, a candidate profile, and it's a simple two-step process by creating using your email ID and creating a password. Please keep the password safe. And once you have created this profile, it will take you to the job application page, which is a lengthy questionnaire. It's going to ask you many job related questions, and please be careful when you answer them. You have to say, do you have your secondary school diploma, yes or no? And similarly, other questions, do you have your NFPA 1001 level 1 and level 2? When you choose the yes or no, please be sure If you make an error and if you incorrectly answer the question, you will be automatically disqualified, and we cannot fix that, or we cannot change and make any exceptions to that. Second, if you say yes, you must be qualified as of that date. So before July 10th, you should be, all the minimum qualifications must be met. Like Chief Mallow said, if you are getting your certification dated after July 10th, you will not be qualified. If you're fully certified, if you're only waiting for the certificate to come in the mail, maybe that could be a possibility. We could work with that, but we really need you to be fully certified before you apply. So once you answer the series of job questions, related questions, it will take you to the bottom of the page, and other diversity related, equity and diversity related questions. We encourage you to answer them as well. And then once you hit submit, your application is complete. You also would we encourage you would have to PDF all your documents, supporting documents, and submit a copy of that as well. That will help us in putting your application together and reviewing that. So once you hit submit, what happens is next the recruitment process actually begins. The recruitment process starts with screening of resumes, and we will go through the various phases in the recruitment process. Like you see on the screen, we have many assessments, and that begins with the written assessment, which is which is administered by a third party called CPS Test Agency, and there is a $70, approximately 70 Canadian dollars charge, and which can be written online. It's remotely proctored, and this is a written assessment. So that begins, our recruitment process begins with that, and you should be you should meet all the minimum qualifications to move to this stage. Past that stage, we move to the interviews, and we have other rounds like the behavioral assessment. You have a York fitness, medical, swim test, practical assessment, and other behavioral assessments. And if you move to the next stage, it doesn't mean you're, just because you're successful or you've done well in the interview, and doesn't mean you will automatically qualify to move to the next stage, or if you're successful, it doesn't mean you will get an offer. A holistic evaluation of your application is done, and many factors into that goes into the mix, into the decision. And it's something like even reference check, background search, your documentation, and vulnerable sector search, and several other factors are going into the mix before a decision is made. So we do not provide immediately feedback or regret message. We will keep candidates' applications under review until the recruitment process is complete. So if you do not hear back from us, please just wait. You will be contacted if you're a successful candidate, and you will be given enough time before your next appointment is scheduled. If you are not contacted, it can be for many reasons. Your application is still under consideration, and we may come back to the pool at any time in the recruitment process. And towards the end is when we usually give out feedback, and we give out regrets. And if candidates come back to me asking what happened, it's just because of the volume of applications and the number of steps in the process. This process, you will probably not hear back from us very soon, right after the assessments. The whole recruitment process roughly takes about, I would say, 6 months. Starting in July, we are looking at the end of July for the written assessments, and goes up until the end of December. And early in January, we're making decisions for offers. And to somewhere along the recruitment process, if you are successful, we will schedule your appointment for those shortlisted candidates to go to the York fitness test, fitness and medical test. So you don't have to go to the test beforehand, and you must bring your documents for validation at some point in the recruitment process. We don't know those dates and which time, but you will be informed as we move along the process. I think I've covered most of the information and everything that's required, most of the timelines as well. If you have any questions, of course, we're happy to answer. We'll open in a couple minutes. We'll open the floor to the Q&A session. We would like everybody who's attended the session to take a minute and scan this QR code on your phone and complete a survey. It's a quick 2-minute survey to tell us how we did on our open house session, what information you liked, and anything else that you would like to hear from us, and how we can improve our information sessions. That will be very helpful. So I'll give it a minute before we end the formal information session. All of you can just take a minute to scan the code, and then We probably will bring the screen up again in the end if candidates want to do it in the end. In the meanwhile, thank you all for joining us this evening.